Thank you so much. I would like to call this emergency meeting of the Travel Council Advisory Board to order. It's 12 o'clock on February 14th, Friday. And we could just briefly have everyone introduce themselves. My name is Lori McClellan, and I'm the head of board today.
Wendell Williams,
Peter Mr. Moab from
Ben Walter, Assistant Technology Development. Howard Trenholm, Board Member.
Ben Vertigo, Director, right now.
Brian Martinez,
And we've got online, go ahead.
Hi, Mick here, Assistant Marketing Director.
Mick, can you say something again?
The audio, it's really hard to hear you guys.
Okay.
Okay. Can you just test? Can you just say something for me?
Absolutely. We'll work on the audio, Mick.
That's a lot better.
Okay.
Great.
Sorry about that.
And could you introduce yourself, please? Mick,
Me?
would you be willing to
Yes.
introduce yourself?
Yes, Mick Saleta, Assistant Marketing Director.
Thank you. And Ashley, can you introduce yourself?
It's muted. I don't know if that's her.
I know.
Unmute Ashley.
I know. She,
Oh, she's
Hi,
unmuted.
There we go.
This is Ashley Kornblatt, Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome. Awesome. I would like to open up for citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens present? Oh, wait, we've got two more people present. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, Stephen Stocks, County Attorney.
Oh my gosh, it's newsworthy today. Are there any citizens to be heard that would like to be heard before we start our meeting?
I have one thing I want to talk to today.
no one online.
No one's online either. Okay, opening items. Before I listen to, we hear Ben Frederigill, I would like to please ask that we have a few ground rules. If we'll please raise our hand. I'm trying to get the whole Robert's Rules of Order orderly, and it might be a little rough. This is this is my first rodeo. Here we go. So go ahead.
Just wanted to say, I just came from the Utah Office of Tourism Directors meeting, and in the film section, as they were moving films forward for incentive motions, there's a small one that Grand County and San Juan County will have a piece in from the directors of previously Bruges and stuff. But the other movie, Zeus, which will have $3,150,000 in spend in the county. They made a special call out to our commissioner, Peter Metzner, for the hard work scouting it and getting that brought here. So I just want to make sure that got recognized, because do the math on that, the tax on that spend is pretty good. So I just wanted to point that out to the team.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. So are any other citizens to be heard or items that we need to open up? Okay. I'm hoping that we can quickly review and have this meeting go quickly. So as far as opening items, if we could have Stephen Stocks, our county commissioner, could you please give us a little bit of background about why we're doing a special meeting? I feel like that's important to sort of point out.
Okay. So there was, you guys had a meeting on Tuesday, and during that meeting, there was I think a comment or a citizen, well, I think there was somebody that had made a comment that,
I believe it was Jason.
Jason Taylor, that's right, that he said that you can't make a motion and it's not, something wasn't on the agenda. And then followed up with, well, we don't have to make motions, we can just give direction. One of the requirements that we have for any boards is the board speaks by motions. And so how you guys have power is you guys make motions and those motions are seconded and then voted on. That's how the function works. As individual members, you don't have the ability to go demand documents or to tell people what you think they should do. It has to be in an open, public, transparent process. And so that's on motions. You guys had an agenda that was produced online on the Civ Clerk program. You could press the drop down and all the items were underneath the discussion items and action items, and they were cleanly laid out underneath. But on the printout version of it, it did have one of the items had discussion in front of it. It was discussion : and then explained it. The problem is I think that that discussion item caused misunderstanding from that individual, and that caused him to say that we can't make motions on things. And so that didn't happen. There weren't really any motions. And then subsequently, instead of making motions, there was kind of discussions about like, we feel red or green on particular topics. And even though that's wasn't supposed to be a vote, it technically was a vote. So that was brought to my attention. I reviewed the meeting. I looked at that and I just, kind of a reminder, and some of these things, they can be tricky. So whenever you have a motion, it's always just a motion. You look for a second and then you vote on the particular items. You try to make your motions as clear and concise as what they're wanting, so that there's not confusion and that you give good direction. That happens sometimes at the commission. Sometimes things can get complicated and confusing on motions, so we try to make those as clean as possible. Other things to know, there are some limitations on what you can get as individuals versus what you guys can get as a board. That's stated in your bylaws. And then the other note is emergency meetings. I think some people read the word emergency under Utah code. There is a carve out for urgent matters and urgent natured items. So I think that's appropriate here as well. We have items on this agenda that were originally being considered and trying to move forward in connection with the commission meeting that's coming up. And so these items were important. Are they emergencies under the code? Yes, they're urgent natured items, and that's why we're here. So it doesn't have to be, everybody thinks of emergencies like something's on fire. It doesn't necessarily have to be on fire, but if it's urgent in nature. So that's why we're having this meeting, to kind of clean everything up so that people could be heard, an opportunity. One more note on agenda items. When you have an agenda item such as like, what are our goals? Sometimes you might not have every single thing written out that you guys are going to want to do. The item being on an agenda, you have to give the public notice and an opportunity and know that it's going to be an action item for that action item to be considered. That's why you have citizens to be heard. So if somebody saw that you guys were going to make recommendations of what your goals are, they're on notice that that's what you guys are going to do, make recommendations on your goals. Now, if they don't show up and your goal, let's say, is that you want to, celebrate the underwater basket weaving contest, no such thing, it might be somewhere. But if you wanted to do that, that may be one of your goals that's not specifically listed. It doesn't have to, everything doesn't have to be specifically listed. Remember, your guys' function when you're talking about doing things for the commission is making recommendations there. So that's a lot of your board's function is going to be making recommendations. And so there'll be follow-up. So that's kind of just a background. If you ever have problems with, or not problems, if you ever have questions about agenda items or ever have questions about the proper procedure, you can talk to my office. We're happy to help. Alicia is very knowledgeable about this stuff as well. These things can be sometimes a little odd and backwards, so don't hesitate to reach out. One other thing I did here is there was suggestions of maybe emailing items directly to the office about maybe saying like, hey, make suggestions by emailing it and then we can create a Google document. We really can't do that because again, your guys' power comes from a public vote. So if you guys have ideas, the best practice would be group all those ideas together and then discuss them and vote on them. That way you don't have an individual person saying, hey, I hate the underwater basket weaving, and then there's progress or change made that's not made out in the public sphere.
Okay.
And then you also subject yourself to, you're always subjected to GRAMA, which is the Government Records Access Management Act, and that can be pulling emails and copying those things down. So you might make more headache if you don't do it in the public process. Because again, the idea in the state of Utah is creating and conducting government's business in sunshine. And so the presumption is doing public. So,
Awesome.
excellent. Just wanted to throw that 2 cents out there. And
No, that Google Doc is really important to get clarification on because I was heading in the wrong direction. Thank you.
well, but you guys could utilize that information, let's say with the board members, and then understand, number one, that document's probably going to be subject to, well, if it's considered a draft, it likely wouldn't be considered accessible by grandma. But again, maybe your intent is to have it be publicly available. And then you know, always making sure that you guys make decisions in the public sphere. So we can't go make decisions via emails because then the public wouldn't have the ability to watch. You know, the cool thing about having open public meetings, Andrew, myself, the public can come sit in and watch and be able to kind of hear and see what you guys are doing. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward, our discussion and action items. Our annual board goals that we discussed. We previously talked about having a subcommittee for establishing those goals. We had some people raise their hands. We had talked about Wendell helping just as an assignment with maybe the mission statement. What I would like to do is call maybe for a motion to have that subcommittee be established by vote and move forward with coming up with some of those goals so we can present at the next meeting.
What is the name of the subcommittee?
We're going to call it the annual board, TCAP board goal subcommittee.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the formation of the aforementioned subcommittee.
Seconded.
Awesome. Do we have volunteers of people? I know we chose people in the last meeting, but I have to do it transparently. Ideas, I would very much love to have Wendell, instead of writing a separate deal, I'd like to have him be part of that goals process. Volunteers still?
Yeah, I think originally it was myself, Sharon, Brian, and Jason.
Brian and Jason.
But we could have,
Want it to be board members though?
Well, they're liaisons, so they're
Okay.
fine.
yeah, we
Yeah.
just had to have, we can't have more than 3
Yeah,
voting
That's what
members.
it's, yeah.
So I think we could have one more voting member on it.
So.
Hi, sorry to interrupt without raising my hand, but I can't really do it because I'm driving. I had volunteered to be on that committee.
Oh, yeah,
Awesome.
and Ashley.
All right, we've got Ashley, and I
And I
had you
think-
now written down. Go ahead, Ashley.
Well,
Don't
I
rush.
thought it was okay because we had 3 voting members and 1 non-voting member, something like that.
Right, I
Yeah.
got you. I just want to make sure you're still interested.
Very.
Okay, all right, we've got Ashley and we've got Alex. I know that Sharon isn't here and she likely would like to participate a little later in the meeting, but at this point, if we can put Wendell,
We can be a
On that-
placeholder instead of Sharon.
okay, you
If you
be,
wanna
and
do
then you
that,
can help
then-
with that.
yeah.
And then we can continue, Jason is not here, but I'm gonna bet he still wants to be. And then we've got Brian.
So, yeah.
Okay, and then I'll entertain a motion to approve those subcommittee members.
I think you have a motion on the table currently
do.
to create that.
I'm creating the committee, but now I want to make sure
The
that
names.
those members, that we can all vote to have those members be part of that subcommittee.
Can Howard amend that?
Yes,
Just to be more
yes,
specific.
yes,
So
go
just
ahead.
name the names.
So I'll make a motion to form a subcommittee with members Wendell Williams, Alex, or is it Sharon? Alex?
Alex
And then
Corchester.
Ashley Kornblatt. And then adjunct Jason Taylor.
And Ashley.
Of course, Commissioner Martinez.
And Brian Martinez.
I said Ashley.
Okay, and Ashley Kornblatt. Okay, awesome. Those in favor?
Seconded.
Oh, seconded. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Second, okay, seconded by Alex. Okay, and then I'll call for a vote.
Discussion, yeah.
Oh, do we want to, okay, we're going to discuss. Thank you. Any discussion on that topic?
I just want to bring it out, nothing against Ashley, but we have held a position for the director of the chamber. And I'm just wondering if that's still the case for that position.
I think, in my experience, the director has asked us to be the one to come up with our board goals, and then we will take them to the director. And then this is supposed to be a productive part of the process, and we're going to try to collaborate to help them with the 2025 campaign.
Well,
Is everyone
can I
agree?
I
Go
think
ahead.
I think Howard is asking who is in charge of who represents the chamber on this board. And the answer to that question is the chamber chooses the representative to this board, and the chamber voted, and I am currently the representative. We may change that going forward, but at this time and for the next couple of months, I expect to be the representative.
Ashley, I believe that the exact vote was an interim and that you would be on for 1 or 2 more meetings. Is that correct?
There is no specified date as to when the interim would switch. So
I'm losing you.
this
I've
decision
lost
to
you.
the chamber,
I've lost
not the TCAB. Sorry.
and now I
you hear me?
can.
Okay. The decision of who will represent the chamber on this board is governed by the chamber, not the TCAB. So for the moment,
Correct.
I am the representative.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I misunderstood. I apologize. I thought Howard was asking about having been Frederick Gill part of that committee. My apology.
No problem.
Okay.
But did
All right, moving forward.
Do we vote?
Can we vote,
I can-
please?
Just quick, do I attend that committee meeting since I'm part of the organization with
I
the goals
think-
of that?
Unless I get corrected by the county attorney, I believe the way that this is established is we're doing a subcommittee of TCAP, and then we're taking those TCAP ideas to you,
Okay.
and then you can take them to your staff.
Thank you.
But we want to have
That's fine.
as many ideas for you outside the box that we can, helping you move forward. And I would actually even, might have to amend this thing again. I'd like to put Alex in charge of that subcommittee and reporting back if you're cool with that.
Sure.
That way we can, have a leader that reach out. Are you
Okay.
comfortable with that?
Sure.
Okay.
Should we vote?
Should we vote?
Ready to vote?
Call for a vote. All those in favor of the committee with Ashley Kornblatt, Alex, Wendell, Jason, and Brian, say aye and raise your hand.
I
All right, that's unanimous. Okay, moving forward, thank you very much. Our next item is the recommendations, upcoming business and action items. What I would like to do, we have one item that we didn't discuss on Tuesday that the Economic Development Department, we're changing our names here, but the Economic Development Department has asked us to look at the LOVE budget to help expedite this process. And I would like to move that item from J up to our first item while we still have a quorum. And I would like to turn that discussion lead over to Wendell Williams, who has researched this extensively.
So we, yesterday, when I ran into you, Ben, and I was asking for the media plan for 2025 or the strategy, he said to go talk to Mick, and Mick, thank you for, entertaining me yesterday. It didn't seem to have the media plan, but his focus was really for us to get a look at the LOVE contract, which I agree, because it wasn't put on the previous agenda, and we're now in February. And we want to make sure that your office has everything available to you so that you can start to market Moab effectively and get the word out there. Now I know that Mick, you sent everybody a copy of the 2023, 2024, the proposed 2025. Now these are all amendments to the original contract, so we basically just rolling over this contract year over year based on these amendments. And I think part of the agreement that I would like to see as part of the contract is, I don't think everybody's probably had a time to look at all, and there's a lot to take in, but in the 2023 and 2024 LOVE documents, it states that they have to develop a comprehensive marketing strategy and budget by April 30th of 2025. And actually, we talked in the last meeting about the need for this strategy and the marketing strategy. And I think we all kind of need to be on the same page of kind of where LOVE is, where they have been, and where before we can plan on where we're going. And so I think it would be the one that was developed in 2023 for the 2024 year was supposed to have been delivered by September 30th of 2023. So we should have two comprehensive marketing strategies from LOVE Communications that we, as a group, I think should be able to review before we're able to kind of review this contract. So if we could get that from you. The other thing I noticed too in the contract was that LOVE is also supposed to provide a report to the county as to the impact of the 2024 campaigns no later than December 23rd, 2024. That was also the case in 2023. So I'm new to TCAP, so I don't know if they've actually presented that to the county or to TCAP or who they presented it to. Just really quickly. And then, because I think if we have a document that we can all, because again, I think having all of us on the same page of what marketing strategy they're working from, so that we know if we agree with that, and also to see what they've done. Like it's supposed to review like the success, what worked, what didn't, how the money was spent. So before we can kind of approve a new contract, I think it'd be great if we could get their two marketing strategies that they've been working off of the past 2 years, as well as the two full year reports on what they've done and what we've gotten for it. So that way we can all determine what worked, what didn't, and then we can effectively move forward straight away. That would be great. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Howard, I would call on you as soon as Ben has a comment.
So we have Nick on the line. Nick, the report that we gave the other night is the report out of the 24 metrics, correct? Performance.
There are various timelines in that report. So each opportunity is for a different period of time, but that's not from, that's in data I got in part from LOVE, but isn't a LOVE report. They could make that report if we wanted to. Does that answer your question?
So you're asking for that, so we need to get that and the plan, which I believe Mick received. Was that what the communication from LOVE was today, the plan?
Yeah, so Wendell, after we talked yesterday, I asked for two things from LOVE, and Mark Stevenette sent a reply to that email. So I can pass that along to you and the board, however you would like.
Yeah, I saw that. That was I'm sorry.
Go, please continue.
That was really with regard to Arch's visitation and spending. I think that's the document sent through. Was that the one you sent through today?
No, I asked Mark Stevenette yesterday after talking with you for the two deliverables that you saw in the contract. It was I have it right here. I asked him for it's section 3.1 of last year's contract. It said develop a strategy and media plan for the county's 275,000 summer and fall 2024 marketing campaign. And then also develop a comprehensive 2025 marketing strategy and budget by April 30, 2024.
Yeah.
And he replied this morning and sent some answers.
Okay, well, I haven't received that. So if we can definitely get those, so that way all of us can just take a look, and because it kind of shapes our opinion on what they've done. Absolutely. And then we can move forward, because it's it's over $1 million spend, and we'd love to see what they've done. And I'm sure they've done some great work. And then if we've seen some things that haven't worked, we can shape our opinion on how we move forward. And also, so if we have those, but I'd also like to get the full report. If they have the full report from 2023 and 2024, that way we have their, we can see what worked, what didn't work, and everybody on the TCAP can see, kind of a comprehensive view of what they've done. And that way we can, make a quick decision and get you guys moving, and let's start marketing straight away. So I guess, I don't know if a motion needs to be made if that was sent through, but I'd still like to see, I guess, to make sure that we have both the 2023, which was the whole full year marketing strategy for 2024, the full year strategy for 2025, as well as the 2 presentations that were supposed to have been delivered by December 30th by Loves on the full year results. So I don't know if that's a motion.
Can you make a motion?
I make a motion that the director ensures that we have those 4 documents, which include the 2024-2025 comprehensive marketing strategy from Love Communications, as well as the 2024 and 2025 full year reports as to the economic impact of the 2020 of those 2-year campaigns.
I'll second.
What's that?
I'll second.
Second by Howard. Motion by Wendell Williams, second by Howard Trenholm. Any discussion?
Just a question on clarification. So this contract, we're really looking towards 2026 marketing now, or is this for 2025?
We're now in June. We're now in February.
Yeah.
And we, the only, Mick, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only real media strategy they have in place right now is for the co-op money, and not for any other funds so we have no other strategy for, they should have created a strategy for the whole of 2025. I haven't seen that yet, so I don't know what they intended to spend, but yeah.
And Jim, then just as far as timing goes, because we all know marketing's highly sensitive in timing,
Yeah.
do we kind of push them towards the summer now, since it's already spring, and putting together a plan for the spring is kind of not really appropriate, but it's the summer business that might be?
I think that right now we just need to kind of get a sense of what their plans are, and then we can go from there. And then absolutely. I want to market I want you guys to have whatever you need available. So I want to get this through so you guys can have the money to be able to spend, and we can market more effectively.
And I would suggest that we put a timeline on that so that we can get that, in the contract, it was delivered to you by the 30th of April. I would like it to be reasonable to have that within a week so we can get this ball rolling.
Yeah.
Unless we already have it, but then we can, that's obviously sooner, but we can look at it sooner and later to move forward.
Sounds good.
Maybe a suggestion that we have a workshop over this strategy ahead of our next board meeting, which might kind of expedite the whole process, just as a suggestion or an idea, if possible.
I think sorry.
No, you go
I know
ahead.
there's a motion on the floor. This is discussion. It would be good for us to have time to review it, everybody on this board, because I think to digest some of this, for many people to look at a full year, 2 years worth of what worked, what didn't work, what seasons really worked and not, I think would be great for all of us and for you guys so we can all talk knowledgeably about what we think. And then, yes, I think we definitely have a strategy.
I'm going to ask for a little help on this one. Do we need to call for a motion in order to create a workshop now, or are we able?
We need to first vote on the motion that's on the
Okay.
table.
Oh, wait. I want to hear, there's a staff member who has commentary.
Just wanted to voice general support for what you were saying about setting deadlines for things.
Awesome.
Very helpful.
Thank you. Okay.
I can wait till after the vote on this, and then we can just have a comment after that.
Okay.
On the workshop.
I'm sorry, was that?
He is going to do a comment after we do a vote.
Okay, got it.
So,
We're going to vote on.
thank you.
What Wendell wants.
We're voting on what Wendell wants. What are we voting on, Wendell?
Well, I'd like to add a timeline to that. So I'm voting for getting the comprehensive marketing strategy from Love Communications that was supposed to have been provided by April 30th. And so the 2024 plan and the 2025 plan, as well as the report to the county for the impact of the 2024 and 2025 campaigns, and timeline wise.
By 21
Yeah,
February.
but, Wednesday, I mean, if it's available, then Wednesday, I think would be great. That way we can start looking at it.
That makes it the 19th of February. Okay, because it technically is in the can somewhere, and we should just have it already, just get a
Yeah.
copy. Is anybody going to second that motion?
Seconded.
Seconded by Alex. Okay. Call for a vote. All in favor of this? One, two. Ashley, are you in favor?
Yes.
Awesome, it's unanimous. Awesome. And I'd like to recognize
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah, we talked at the end of the last meeting. I was just talked to Brian, talked to Jason about proposing a little more time for us to talk about things, because it seems like we are running out of time. Every meeting, we have a lot to talk about, a lot of folks to talk, a lot of ideas. So I was thinking of trying to figure out a way to extend our meetings without really compromising too many people's situations. Jason had suggested that we maybe come up with instead of extending our meetings from 2 hours to 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever, there's no time constraint, there's no time restrictions on our bylaws as far as how long we could meet. But we could potentially create a workshop the hour before our meeting that's open and public, but it's not, we don't necessarily get a quorum. We're not going to have action items, but we can talk about, pick a subject. Before maybe every single meeting, we have an hour workshop, and we just pick a subject that we're going to all talk about, and we could review things during the month, and then the beginning of the next meeting, when we have just an hour of just discussion where we can get all of our ideas out on time, or just some things that we need to say on particular subject matters. And that way, when we get to actual time frame, we can just move forward with our agenda and kind of be a little more time conscientious. So that my proposal is to have a workshop maybe on our next meeting for strategy.
With that in mind, do you want to set up action items too? So when we go into our actual regular meeting, we can immediately make decisions based on our workshop.
Yeah.
Most of those 24 hours ahead.
Point of order, 1 second.
Let's hear from the county attorney real quick.
Are you-
Yeah, just
Thank you.
workshops, generally, the commission would encourage you guys to do a workshop and then maybe not discuss at the same meeting, because it puts a lot of strain on staff to hurry up and try to create whatever you guys want to do the same day. And so the county traditionally has done it the same day, but really in our bylaws, we should have been doing it in separate days. So the recommendation would be do a workshop, have a break, circulate the data or whatever you guys need to create, and then send that out to the TCAP members to make sure it's on par. Otherwise, you're going to force staff and people to just be running through it last second. Or what I hate the most is when you pass something and then make it contingent on somebody else reviewing whatever it was, because that just is just ripe with problems. And then one other note, when you guys do receive documents, remember that the information that you're receiving is based on your position as board members, and that's confidential and shouldn't be circulated outside the board. So just noting those things.
One more, I'm trying to look at Robert's really quick. Are we able to discuss this to see, this is part of the whole love workshop thing, so I'm going to say yes. Is there any discussion around a different idea or better idea to the workshop? I personally think the workshop's a phenomenal idea to try to move this process along.
So, if we're gonna do a workshop on our next, let's say our next meeting, then what Stephen's saying is that we shouldn't vote on it at that point.
So possibly we might want to do a workshop prior to that next meeting. And we would probably just even maybe have to notice it.
So it would be like a subcommittee
Okay.
of non-quorum, because workshops would be something where we could have quorum, no action items. Subcommittee, we can't have quorum.
Perhaps what we could do is do a proper notice and have a 1 hour workshop, and then on a different day, be able to have actionable items that we would vote?
Yeah, I think as long as it's open and public and set up, right? I would assume that would work. Yes. Okay.
Are we on track with that, if we set up a workshop prior? Okay, I propose that we'll send out 2 or 3 dates to workshop that. Go ahead, Ben.
So, Stephen, so would that be like, for instance, we have an issue that we have a billboard that we need to talk about. So in theory, you could have had a workshop, but you can't put that on the agenda item for that meeting. But you could, then it becomes an agenda meeting for the next month. But I have a question, Steve. If we had a discussion, it wasn't an agenda item, but it was a discussion. They said, we've come up with this solution in this discussion. We don't want to have to wait a month to go to another TCAB meeting to make a motion. They want to take it to the commission. Could they somehow take that recommendation out of that workshop, not have to wait a month and say, we have the billboard idea. We can take it to the commission in 2 weeks instead of 6 weeks.
Sure.
Could they do that?
Sure. I mean, really the best way to do that would be to just do a simple action item. I mean, if most of the workshop issues are more complicated, like should be more discussion intense topics.
Which is what we were trying to do with those bullets, which we did wrong the other day. So that's what,
No, but
that's what I'm trying to clarify.
your billboard, you could do the billboards, you could look at them real quick and say, yeah, they look good. I'd say a workshop's more going to be, do we want to look at all the billboards that we have nationwide and start mapping out a strategy? And it's kind of more a in-depth look at a particular topic. If you guys can talk about it and resolve it in, 5 to 25 or 30 minutes, then probably you can just do a discussion. But if there's going to be substantial back and forths and workings and there's multiple faceted parts, then yeah, maybe a workshop's going to be better. Like this year, for example, for the commission, they talked about changing the special events ordinance. That had like 7 different pieces and a lot of different, is that yours? It had a bunch of different pieces, and it wouldn't have been possible to do that in a regular discussion because your motion would have been like 18 components. So
I was just trying to, that helps because it speeds up a 6 weeks process.
Yeah,
Maybe looking at this, a recommendation might be that it's to do a workshop, every workshop in annual board goals.
yeah, sure. Like some bigger piece that isn't necessarily immediately due the next time. I think you could do something like, board goals, you might have to have a couple of workshops because it's going to be multifaceted. But to compare that with, like the Expo, Salt Lake Expo that you guys have, maybe that's a smaller conversation. If you think it's going to be a lot of back and forths that you don't think you can hash out in 5 to 15, 20 minutes, then I'd workshop it. The other suggestion is you guys talk about these items. If you're going through and setting your agenda, you might realize maybe one person has an extreme view here and another person has an extreme view here, and you think there's like not a kind of a settled version of what you guys want to go with. Maybe your workshop's going to be more helpful.
Is it possible to have multiple items in a workshop? And we
Sure,
have to
but
say
time's your constraint. Like if you, normally when the commission gives a workshop, we have one topic for an hour. So, that's a lot of time for the commission to look at something. So I would encourage you to keep workshops. You're really supposed to show up, roll up your sleeves, and stay on the topic and just get that topic done. So comboing it with 3 items is probably not going to be very helpful. But then again, it raises the question if you could do 3 in the same workshop, whether they're really workshop items, if you're trying to limit that to an hour. And there may be items that you need 2 or 3 hours on. And sometimes the reason why we do subcommittees is there might be repeated, a lot of in-depth interaction with staff or with admin, and you're going to have a lot of different parts and you're going to have to meet multiple times. Your subcommittee is going to digest, a 7-course meal, whereas your workshop's a meal and your, regular action items are just a dish. We're just kind of focusing down. So if you had some big giant strategic thing, maybe look at subcommittee, maybe look at workshop, maybe look at multiple workshops, if that helps.
But we could, like any time in the month, we can have a workshop for an hour and it has to be publicly disclosed. That we're just going to have a workshop on this. We can't have any action items.
And if we have at least 4 days prior,
You have to have,
No, we
we
can't.
can have, but we would want to have sufficient time prior to be able to make action items possibly in the next TCAB meeting.
Yeah.
So it's more efficient, so we're moving the process
Yeah.
along.
We're not waiting 6 weeks. We're
Correct.
ready.
Correct. And then if we can help with calendars, if you can help us with, it is, okay, wait a minute, I have to make an action item. If I would love to, have a spreadsheet with a calendar of all the deadlines of different contracts, how am I gonna ask?
I think the staff would have all that information.
Can we direct staff to do that?
We will. So
I
yes,
would like to
that's,
direct staff to
it's
get
not
a
like it's a
spreadsheet.
static thing, like we will work to get
Oh, not staff.
we'll work to get a timeline of contracts.
So then we can be,
That's why
working
this,
together.
for instance, this love one has the data piece in it, and each one of those data pieces has a different one, and so we want to ping into that contract what the different ones are. We want to start pulling them out, doing something direct, make that decision wisely.
excellent. Howard's
So let me just kind of think this through. So it sounds like we need the information from Love. And then from that, we have a workshop, and ideally we have the workshop before our next board meeting. Does that sound
Would you
kind
like to make a motion?
of, you guys' decision, just kind of out for discussion? Does that sound about right?
But we can ideally have, like what we come up with in that workshop, we can create an action item for the next meeting. Most likely, as long as it's not on the same day.
So to not overburden staff. obviously.
Right.
And give them time.
I would call for a motion for that
Okay.
regarding the
I'll
love
attempt this.
contract.
I'll make a motion that upon receiving the data we requested from Love Communications, that we set up a workshop which allows sufficient time for both staff and the board before our next board meeting to make some action items.
I second that.
Any discussion? Second by Sharon.
You don't have a date though. That's the only thing, but
We have to wait till we get love stuff, so.
All in favor of Howard's motion?
Yeah.
I'm in
Ashley, are you-
favor. Yep.
Awesome, unanimous. Thank you so much. Okay, moving forward, we've got the.
Lori?
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Wendell, I'm wondering if you could list the 4 things that you need and the contracts that you were looking at, so we can make sure we're getting you what you want.
Would you like me to do that now or send it to you?
You could either email it or you could say it now, either way. Emailing
The
it would be
ones I
great.
was requesting is actually, if you need a specific, it's Exhibit B in the contract. It's Exhibit B 1C, which is in reference to develop a comprehensive 2025 marketing strategy and budget by April 30th, 2024. It's the same exhibit, same number on the 2023 contract, and it's the same exhibit and the same number and letter for the proposed 2025 contract. So we should have 2 years of the strategies for 2024 and 25 from Love's. And then the second, if you need a reference, it is the last item basically before the signature. It's point number 8. Provide a report to the county as to the impact of the 2024 campaigns no later than December 31st, 2024. It was the same line in the 2023 contract for 2023. So those are the 4 different items I was looking for.
Thank you.
I have a quick question as well.
Go ahead, Ashley.
I'm just wondering, I don't know if the county does this or not, but in a workshop, is it possible to have a speaker, like staying with the example of underwater basket weaving for a moment? If the workshop had to do with that, would it be appropriate to have, and we have someone in our community or whatever that is an expert on that, would we be able to have them present at the workshop? I mean, does that ever happen at the county level? Like you get expert advice at the workshop?
I'm gonna have Stephen answer that one, Ashley.
yeah, so you can. I mean, we've had different topics like that. The idea for a workshop is to come together to be able to look at information. Sometimes that's going to be information provided by staff or some external person. But yeah, it's all public. That's the other thing. It's noticed up. It's a public meeting, even though you're not making action items. But yeah, you can do that. The only
Awesome.
other thing
Thanks so much.
the only other thing I'd kind of note is you know, in the idea of transparency, if somebody came in about underwater basket weaving and then they subsequently provided like an RFP or submitted something, you kind of want to, you know, be public and notice that, or, you know, disclaimer, like, yes, they did present to us on this day, but that didn't weigh into our decision making, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah.
Great.
Got it. And I'm thinking more of people in our community that might have expertise in different categories. So not so much contractors possibly, but just to get the best information on whatever the topic is.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to, thanks, Ashley, don't crash. Move on to item A, billboard content and messaging. I believe, are there attached to this agenda attachments? I haven't seen them yet.
Can I
Please,
just
Ben,
give some
please, I'm
background?
sorry, go ahead.
So, what would be very helpful for this board to help us, give us some guidance is we had already had in our 2025 plan to knowing that we'd be able to, the commission, change the billboards in town. One thing that is a bit of a running clock is the resolution that said everything needed to be changed in 60 days. So one thing is we've gotten some portfolio examples given to us. And in full transparency, we wanted to get them to the TCAB just like we have. Our team doesn't believe those meet the standard we would like to have. So we are in a little bit of a catch-22. We want to do something well, but we also want to meet a deadline. So I would throw it out to this board to think of a couple things. If it's a change in the message, there's some options. We could just take the billboards down as they are, and while we work to get a replacement, we could put something up temporary, which would add maybe a layered cost. Or we could say, we are in progress, but we, with input from ideas from people as well as our agency of record, we'd really like to have a strategy and something that is quality versus quickly. So that's where we're at in this. So what we sent out last night, our team reviewed and we're like, okay, we would say back to the drawing board, but or let's look at some other ideas. But we also know that there's a calendar that's ticking, and we want to be respectful to the commission's change in resolution. As we said in our meeting the other day, we presented that resolution, so it's very clear with our agency of record. But now it's in our other goal of which you'll do in the strategy is our goal is to be not only a DMO, but a very good one, with a very good product. We would like to have very quality billboards with a strategy. And the strategy changes daily in that we had a meeting with the airport board yesterday and we said, hey, do we give you back the airport one? And that becomes something that's more of a flight routes piece and it goes away from the Discover Moab. I go back to the original question I asked, is it one message on all the billboards or is it what's the strategy? So we're throwing that back to now the TCAB board that's helping define the strategy to say, here's where we need help. We've got this deadline, but we also want to do it right.
Is it possible to show on the monitor?
Yes.
The staff, thank you. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to look at these, but
Give me just a moment, I'll pull that
am I in
up.
order?
Well, it was, I think when they made the resolution, it was like within 60 days. It's very easy with the media that isn't on a billboard to change things, but something like that requires getting the visuals, agreeing to it, and then the implementation, which is just, I mean, as you can imagine, putting a billboard up, but we don't want to just slap something up there
Right.
just to do it.
Do you mind if we, like, I want to make a couple motions to move on from here, an open discussion for this, because maybe when people see it, they will like it. And let's take, I saw him last night. Howard, go ahead.
Just as guidance for our team, I think the welcoming content should be first, front and center.
That's for you guys on your strategy.
Okay, so first, I would please ask staff if you could you direct staff? I guess I'm directing. If we can just look at these billboards real quick and get an idea of what was projected.
So we have a few here. I also have here our list of billboards. So let me know which ones you'd like to see.
Can we look
first.
at the visuals first, the pictures?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so we've got Nature's Masterpiece, turn here to visit Moab, Utah.
Crescent Junction.
That's for Crescent Junction. Go ahead. You've got these in your brain.
No, I'm just looking at.
Turn here to visit Moab, Utah. That one is also at Crescent Junction, right? Both of these are Crescent Junction, one either side, maybe?
Yeah, that would be the proposal. We could use one on both billboards. We could do one and one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then let's look a couple more. Go ahead.
So
Tell
just,
us
this
about
is
me.
where I would ask, or if you could put that last one up. So this is where staff comes in and says, okay, we're gonna push back on some of this. So for instance, the top one. We have staff that pointed out that mountain bikers don't wear racing kits. It's an old helmet. That's not best in class. So we're saying, we'd like to go back to the drawing board. We're a best in class mountain biking place. If we're gonna put a mountain biker up there, we should have current kit, current equipment, and something that someone looks at and doesn't question.
Right.
Moab is a small piece in there. So we had so we're hoping that the TCAP board puts that same rigor and says, okay, let's get something excellent up there instead of just, like we have options we don't even know about. These are the options that have been presented.
Okay, go ahead, Howard.
Mountain biking's been very much prevalent in all our advertising, and it's a seasonal kind of draw, if you will. It's spring and fall most. You don't see many mountain bikers in the winter, summer. I think that our perception, particularly to off-roaders, has been a little not very welcoming. So I would like to suggest that perhaps we have a visual of Jeep or something like that, because first of all, these activities also can be driven year-round. And I really believe that one of our board goals should be driving our economy for tourism all year, not just in select seasons. And I'm not an ATVer, I don't have a Jeep, but I definitely sense that we need to kind of that welcoming this group back, because they're a high spending group too.
Any other comments before I go to Ben?
Yes. Can you guys hear
Okay.
me?
I can.
Howard, I agree with you about that assessment, not so much about the seasonality part, but about the fact that we are underwater with the OHV community and we need to get out from under that ASAP, and this will be a small way to move that forward. So I agree that we should find an OHV shot to replace that one with.
Thank you so much. I'm about to have a heart attack. Go ahead, Ben.
Without going into an ideation discussion here,
Right.
my example is not that we need a mountain bike up there. I get concerned in our adventure guide that our ATV is an old three-wheel ATV. That's not what a UTV like you would rent at High Point Hummer. We have portfolio materials that need to be updated. One thing that I've said along the ideation piece for welcoming is we could do things like we could have a mountain biker, a UTVer, a rafter, a hiker, an old couple, all on a billboard saying welcome to Moab, showing all the different, but those are ideas that I think need to be presented and worked, and whatever ideas other people have, to your point, like we don't want to pick one thing, we want to welcome everyone, which we're doing in some other strategies here. I just think we want to have something that is memorable and maybe inspires a feeling when you see the billboard versus we just checked the box and got a billboard up.
So in the last meeting, it was suggested that perhaps we do a temporary fix. Is there any appetite, temperature for that before we call for a motion of some sort? Sooner rather than later, I would very much like to have a welcoming message in 60 days to meet that goal.
I was just like,
Wait,
Go ahead.
Ashley, give me 1 second. You're next. Let me just have Wendell continue and then you're the next one.
I was just gonna say, I would like to defer the expertise to Love and Ben and his team with the direction that we would like a more welcoming message with better visuals. I mean, that's in essence, I'm just saying, I think, you're the expert here in terms of, that's your department's responsibility. You have the relationship with Loves. I think they have a good start. I think it needs finessing, but I think we need to, have also them think about a more welcoming message.
Love it. I'm going to recognize Ashley, Sharon, then Alex. Go ahead, Ashley.
I just want to reiterate Ben's point about modern and current legit photos is super important. And I actually ran that mountain bike photo around with some few folks, and we all kind of thought, well, it's okay since we're in a rush, but none of us really loved it. But either way, updating our stock to make sure that it meets, that we're credible and legit in every category is going to be really important. And I think there's a lot, we have the expertise in town to get that done. And we need to put that on the agenda as well, so that they have the raw materials going forward that are really the strongest.
Awesome. I'm going to move on to Sharon. If you have additional comments, just let me know because you're driving. Go ahead, Sharon.
I agree with Ben that we need to we don't have to have just one activity on one billboard, multiple activities. My question would be for the county. I mean, I know we have a new commission. The old commission did not want anything with a side-by-side or Jeep on it. Is the new county commission, are they going to approve anything with a side-by-side or Jeep on it? That would be my question.
You can't really speak.
I will,
I can only speak for myself.
I will say that, as the head of the DMO, I would present that to the commission. I would have no problem with that. In fact, there's discussions to do some pretty aggressive targeting of a demographic that we need to get here, which is a motorized user group. And so we're DMO, we have demographics. We need to attract them and communicate in a way that marketing organizations can do that.
Okay, Alex, go ahead.
I just had a quick idea that I drew up and I sent it to Ben. Is it okay if I put it up on the screen and just have a quick look at it?
It has to do with billboards, right?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome, please.
Yeah. It's just, it was like, I just drew this up and I just had this, I had to get it out of my head. But so in the Moab, it's just all empty there. So to have like a picture graphic of each activity in like each of the Moab, like a mountain biker, a rafter, UTV, something. So it was just very simple, like, and I kind of went off of what Ashley was saying, like there's only one Moab and I kind of liked it. So I just thought that this might be one of the, like just a general graphic, and just want to get your guys' thoughts on it. I was going to have Natalie whip something up for me, but it just didn't come in time for this meeting.
I love it. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to do one side. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I said there's no place like Moab, and amazing Moab also. I love the idea of the 4 separate pictures so that we can put forth. That's just me. Go ahead, Howard.
What about Love Moab?
Other ideas? Yeah.
So we have a list a mile long of ideas for this.
Okay.
I like what Wendell said. One thing is, to go back to what you're saying here, is Quinn and I actually came up with there is only one Moab a year ago. And what we put under this, and this is to think about for your strategy and brand, we're the only gateways. We're the only town on the Colorado River. So that's only. We're the only town within 20 miles of 2 gates of a national park, 2 state parks. We're the only place with so many miles of single track. It starts, this if we think about this strategically, we can go put this up against Bentonville, who says we're the home of, I mean, we have these different things, but if to Wendell's motion, if we can
I didn't put a
start,
motion forward.
or,
I was
but your
just
idea,
discussing.
if we can start working this really hard and present it back, I think we'd like to have
I
that,
can put a
that
motion
that
forward.
opportunity.
And I want to think about the idea that there's only one Moab, but in reality, we were named after a
Jordan.
historically biblical place in Jordan. I really do. International relations is my background, and I am so sensitive to all of the name changes.
And
that
Brian,
we're doing
Brian
in
Martinez,
different
I know
ways.
there's a Moab section of Berlin.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh my gosh.
So I don't
Anyway.
know if
Just have Utah.
Fine,
Fine, fine,
Utah,
Sure.
Great
We'll
idea,
find, yeah.
great idea. But like I said, let's offend as few people as possible today. Anyway.
So I would like to
oh,
make a motion, oh, sorry, yes.
Just FYI, Moab is also a indigenous word for,
Sure.
for like mosquito.
Oh my God.
Wapi.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. All right, so I would entertain a motion
I
to
would-
move this agenda
Yeah,
forward.
just, because we've already agreed pretty much in theory in the last meeting, to allow them to move forward with Love to create content. They've done some already, as your, staff has looked at. I think we need some finessing, and, so my motion is to allow Ben and his team to go back to Love and create, new, images and messaging that is more welcoming and reflective of the different segments of activity in Moab.
In what timeline?
I'll second.
And wait, in what timeline?
Excuse me?
As part of the motion, can we do a timeline?
Oh, timeline.
10
By the 10 days before the next meeting? Is that,
We do 5 days before the next meeting?
what's that?
We do 5 days before the next
Absolutely.
meeting?
Yeah, so the motion is to receive the next round of mock-ups from Love's Communication through Ben Federer's office with the welcoming messaging reflecting the different types of activities in Moab by 5 days before the next TCAB meeting.
Second.
Second by Howard. Discussion? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll recognize.
Thank you. I know that I spoke with Love briefly this morning about some data stuff, but we talked about the billboards too. And I know that there's some specific feedback that I think would help them. And so I don't know if it fits into this discussion or later, but I think it would be worthwhile if we could spend a few more minutes with the board looking at the rest of the mock-ups. I have just a few pointed questions that would help Love come up with new mock-ups. I don't know how that fits in. If you don't want to have that
Okay.
discussion, that's fine, but I just wanted
There's
to.
a motion. It's been seconded. Now we're in discussion. We're in discussion.
I
You
think,
want to see those?
I would just,
Give us a second. Let's have
well,
Sharon.
I'm thinking, I mean, yeah, there's mock-ups done, but we're asking for specific things with our motion. And so that I think Love would need to redo them anyway. I'm not sure if we need to look at any
Then we're
more.
going to hold off just a minute.
That's fine.
Thank you.
I would urge that we can handle that in the department.
Okay.
Because we're gonna waste time and we're not, these are not ones we wanna work on. I will work with you, Ben, on the feedback.
Any other discussion items? Moving forward, hopefully.
Question for Mr. Stocks real quick. When there's a motion on the table, should staff be directing at that point, or should the motion, or should the discussion be limited to that vote?
The discretion, chair. I mean, normally we try to keep it to the members that are discussing the item, voting members that are discussing the item, someone in the commission. The chair runs the meeting, however the chair wants to go forward on the meeting. I've seen chair folks recognize people from the public, I've seen them not. It's how the chair wants to run the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. And the chair is learning the process and eager to get a 60-day welcoming message. So go ahead.
Just one last thing
Discussion
for the discussion. Maybe we use the seasons as a way to capture people, is that we are open all seasons, that there's something in every season, particularly winter, summer, visiting. Just kind of incorporate.
I would entertain a vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Ashley, oh, good, unanimous, thank you.
I stopped
Okay,
driving.
moving forward. Oh, yay, okay. Let's see, go back to that.
I would just have one more comment. Some of the things that have been said about this are conversations that will need to be had regarding the larger strategy. And so I think we got to remember, these are billboards. We can't achieve all our goals in this one channel. So, but the points about seasonality and other pieces are really important, but we got to get on with this and get this done.
Great, awesome. All right, we're moving on to the next agenda item, which is a resolution 3406 and welcoming content. Moving to make an agenda item, excuse me, a
What did I say, madam?
motion. Oh, I'm Adam. Okay.
I would ask, I don't think you need to do anything on that because when this was on before, this was passed by the commission, it was communicated to us, and we just wanted to update that we have let our agency of record know that this is the statute now for the county, that messages need to be welcoming with the responsible recreation as a secondary piece of it.
I would like to make a motion for a simple update within 10 days of what the welcoming content might be. I think I just broke a rule by asking for that.
So
But,
Dover can make a motion as the chair, right?
yeah, I'm not allowed to make a motion. Sorry.
But you can entertain one.
You can entertain.
I can entertain that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am entertaining. I want to move that forward. Anybody that wants to move in that direction so that we can look at that content, that welcoming messaging.
Yeah, I mean, we can make a motion that, Ben, that you can provide us with an update to the proposed content. Is this time sensitive? Is this something that we can get before the next meeting? Or
Actually, I don't think there's an update. I think our update is that we have communicated. I think what our update is that we show you that we are monitoring that everything that we're receiving fits within that resolution.
Okay. As far
Does that make
as
sense?
we just, I think that maybe that can be included in knowing that workshop of
I
knowing.
think what they're asking
What
about is
there's-
they just want to see, they want an update of what Love has produced up to
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah, I mean, everything coming new, but I think it's also taking things off. We can do an update.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was trying more, we were just trying more to tell you that we have incorporated that.
Yeah, I think so, because you have to, if you're going to direct staff on something.
Okay. All right, let's make a motion. to do it.
So I guess a motion is, do you think I'm asking a question before I put a motion together, Ben, that by the next commission meeting, is 10 days before that or 5 days? What is?
Yeah, I think we can do that right away.
I mean,
We can do that right away.
Okay, so 10 days before the next commission meeting that
No,
we,
TCAP meeting.
TCAP meeting, sorry, that we get an update with regard to messaging, the welcoming content messaging.
We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second? Sharon. Any discussion? All right, let's vote. All those who approve this motion to have an update on welcoming content 10 days prior to the next TCAP meeting, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Ashley, are you a aye or a nay?
Okay.
You're an aye, okay, unanimous, thank you. Moving on to the Salt Lake Off-Road and Outdoor Expo community, there's discussion about a motorized, anyway. There has been proposed that we have a beautiful opportunity for Ben Froedergill et al. To be able to go and do a presentation to the Salt Lake Off-Road and Outdoor Expo opportunity to do a speech. And go ahead.
Are you ready for a motion?
Oh, wait.
We also have an additional opportunity that came out of the motorized meeting yesterday. Commissioner Martinez was there. We have the opportunity to purchase a booth, possibly with our off-road trail ambassadors, which we believe would be a good move in trying to do a welcoming and current state of what we have available in Moab and have a larger presence and show more of an effort to address a demographic that feels that it is not welcome here. So deferring to Commissioner Martinez as well, that was brought up as an idea. And so we would say not only are we asking for the support to go present at this, would also to be by a table that will be there for 2 days. And this largely stems from them seeing that we had spill kits at Day on the Hill, which gave a signal that we were investing in motorized recreation in our county, and that was seen as welcoming.
Go ahead.
I think that sounds great, but I make a motion that we give the green light.
Oh, no, green lighting, we gotta vote.
I make a motion that Ben goes to the Salt Lake Off-Road and Outdoor Expo and presents our amazing off-road area, along with purchasing a table for our off-road ambassadors to have a little booth there.
A second.
And may I just make a suggestion on that as well, is that that booth should have a welcoming message.
Yes.
So I do know that the Motorized Trail Committee just got a new banner for the table. It was really nice.
Can we take that then, as part of the motion?
However you want to do it, just shout out.
And with that motion, I'm going to call them after this meeting and see if we can still take advantage of that opportunity. So I will report
This
back.
is the discussion. Any further discussion by voting members? Call for a vote. Those who approve Sharon's motion to have Ben do a speech and a booth at the Salt Lake Off-Road and Outdoor Expo opportunities, say aye.
Aye.
Awesome, unanimous. Moving along, thank you, guys. Next item, number D, RFP for public relations firm. I feel like we talked about this, but to go into this a tiny bit further, if you want discussion, we can do discussion. Go ahead. We can make
I just want to know if we have found out if the county has one that we can piggyback off of, or
No, so there was some confusion on that. So the county has, I'm trying to think of the name of the department. It was currently right now it's staffed by Cora. So she kind of deals with that emergency management, and that's kind of where that lies.
Okay.
Might look to Mark to get a little bit more information on exactly how that department kind of functions as that public relations office, but it would be separate. This would be completely separate from the from a PR firm.
Considering the amount of work that is potentially involved in what Allison, you were describing, and trying to get a comprehensive plan, kind of having somebody dedicated to being able to get stories out and positive media coverage of Moab, I would suggest we get an RFP together for that PR firm, and in that RFP, just outlining what we're looking for.
And would you want to make a motion for that and put a deadline on it?
Sure. I make a motion that we, that Ben, that your office puts together an RFP for a public relations firm based on the recommendations from Ally, with an outlining the need for and with the expectations of that in that RFP.
Any seconds on that?
Time frame?
Oh, time and time frame. I'm going to ask a question
10
first,
days
though.
prior to the
Do
next
you think by
meeting.
the next meeting is appropriate, or next month?
10 days prior. We need it because we got to get on that.
And if not, we can move it on to the
Yeah,
April.
well, I think that what we need
We got to
to,
ask Ben.
I think,
Ben direct staff.
well, I think
That's-
something I'd like to hear from
Oh,
you guys
sorry,
is
yes.
like, we want a PR firm to help us do media placements, but PR firms can also work with influencers and they can
Yeah.
also do fan trips.
Yeah.
And so those are kind of three big things. And so I'd love to hear from you guys, like, if you want a PR firm to do all three, if you want them to just do one, if you have other priorities that you would want them to do. I have recommendations, but
Yeah.
I'd love to hear those from you too.
Well, can I recommend as part of the motion that this RFP outline what your recommendations are, and then we can, at that point in the next meeting, review that? Is that-
Wait, we got to
Oh,
be really
thanks.
specific and outline what
Sorry, I'm
those.
sorry.
No, in the motion,
there's
no, wait, what?
There's more
Draft
discussion.
might be the word that you want to look for. You want to see a draft.
Okay, so we
And
want
then-
to
and then you
do,
guys can
amend the
comment on
motion
draft.
for the RFP with the draft for 10 days prior to the next meeting.
Yes. And then we have a
But you have to make that. You have to make that
So
motion, then we gotta
I'm
get it
amending my
seconded, and then I'll
motion
do
to
discussion.
include for a draft of the RFP, including your recommendations for the scope of work, including potential social media, for 10 days prior to the next TCAP meeting.
Do I have a second? Second by Alex. Discussion, go ahead, Ben.
So on this one, I appreciate the deadlines and stuff, and so I do think it's a draft. And I think what we really need support from is we're gonna be better off moving quickly with this. And so some of the logistics, just because we learned this in the web platform, and that took a very long time.
Yeah.
And just coming off the UOT board meeting where they quantified how they've used their PR firm to do the Barcelona measurement and boost stories. So we don't want to miss months of PR activity that can boost us. But one thing that this will take in drafting is we've got to have a committee and a scoring. So we can write the draft, and we've already started looking into that. But I think where we also, and this may be part of a workshop, is we want to have that scoring team and that committee that then we can get it out and move quickly on a timeline to procure a PR firm so that we're not unleashing this at the end of July.
Draft is critical, I get that, it's a
Okay.
work in progress. Howard?
Do recommend if committee forms that we really should form a strong partnership with Moab City too, and maybe share that expense too. Yeah, I mean, I know it's kind of our role as a travel council advisory board for that, but reaching out to them to show that we're, because they do have some new communications too, so maybe we can. And one last thing, I want to give our office and our team a chance to be our PR, because we're going to be rebranded as the Moab Area Office of Tourism.
Wait, that's next time. Sharon, go ahead.
My only comment would be, I don't think we need a PR firm to do our fam tours. I think our staff is 100% capable of doing that. They're also local here on the ground. That would just be my recommendation, is the fam tour stay within the office.
On that point, there is an opportunity for the PR. Sorry, on that point, there is an opportunity for the PR person to generate leads for fam tours, but I agree with you, Sharon, that they should be run by our staff. But the leads, coming up with people to go on the fam tours would be part of the PR person's job.
Awesome. Go ahead.
On that note, though, we do have to remember, we only have so much money budgeted for PR or for fam tours. And if a PR firm is getting us all these things, then we're gonna have to really be picky and choosy and vetted.
It's a really good
Yeah.
point.
So that's why I think
Agreed.
that the staff should be in charge of any fam tours.
Yeah. Well, I agree that we aren't going to, just because the PR firm suggests someone for a fam tour doesn't mean we have to commit to them, but having more options so that we can pick the most effective could be a good idea. But we can sort this out as the RFP gets written.
Awesome. I'm going to call for a vote on the motion to have a draft of the RFP for a PR firm 10 days prior to our next meeting. All in favor? It's unanimous. Next item E, RFP for branding effort. Looks to me like we have some rebranding info attached to our agenda. Do you want to take over on this one?
Well, just really quickly, Mick, thank you so much for uploading so many of the other RFPs. So as part of, I completely agree in terms of branding. I think, Ben, you vocalized that very well on, we've got these amazing assets and we need to be able to, put those out publicly in a better way. And I think all of the RFPs you provided from Summit County, from Prescott, from Tooele, even from the Utah Tourism Office, that was great to see that you've got some great RFPs, so you know exactly how you can do that. I did see that there's already 2 proposals from 2 different agencies. So has it been put out to tender?
Have you
No,
already
so
had an RFP or?
last year when we started investigating it, much like the web, we started just trying to learn, do due diligence. So we started talking to different firms. What would this cost? What would it entail? So it was getting into the market. Now that we know that we're going to move forward, we kind of said time out because we don't want to tilt it or,
Right.
for instance, and I'll give you an example. We had a presentation from a web company last year that had some great functionality. We didn't write their functionality into the RFP because we felt that we would be taking a presentation they gave us, taking their IP and opening that up to the world. So it was like, okay, we've learned what the cost spectrum is and different things that can be done. Now we'll write what our requirements are and see what comes back, and the committee will decide which ones move forward based on a scoring. So those firms will be told, yes, now there's an RFP out, but we kind of stop the talk.
Okay, so I'm sorry. But we don't have an RFP out to tender yet. Okay, so I
Because
think.
we didn't have it in a budget.
Yeah,
Or this
yeah.
was one of those.
And now we're.
We
you've
don't have a
asked for it.
strategy.
And so I think, you know, to Ashley, your point, I think this is all going back again to strategy and having a good brand and how that fits into the strategy is like what we're looking for. So I guess a really quick motion, since we've already all agreed on this, would be to work on that RFP for the branding and
I don't know. I know
Oh, you have your hand up?
I just see Mick, it sounds like you might have contributing information to this discussion. I'd love
Yeah,
to hear it.
I just wanted to add that those initial conversations were to inform the budgeting. So we reached out to branding firms to get a sense of scale for what a project like this might cost. And then also, you know, you can see the range is quite large. So, and I don't think that we intend that we have to spend that much, but it was to kind of get a number and then put it out for RFP, which would include a cost estimate and make an informed decision.
I apologize, you can continue.
No, and I was
with
just gonna say,
the
and
motion.
thank you, Mick, so much for putting all those together. I went through a lot of them, and there's some great RFPs that you can draw. You don't even have to reinvent the wheel. You can just pull from some of these best RFPs. And so my suggestion, I don't know if you want me to make a motion, but
Yeah, with the,
I'm
with
just
the
gonna make-
draft, with the
yeah,
draft.
with a draft RFP, so that.
Draft RFP
Yeah.
with a short timeline so that we can do all this in the next
And
meeting.
in terms of a timeline, I'm again going to, before I put this into the motion, then the next meeting, or would you prefer April?
Here's what I would say is, if you could give us a little leeway on this one, since we'll be focusing on the other one.
Yeah.
And this one is a big priority. We'll
Yeah.
work on it, but could we maybe get 60 days on that one?
Yeah.
Knowing that we will try and over deliver.
Yeah, I think that's feasible, absolutely. So that would be for which meeting would you be
2
saying?
meetings from now.
2 meetings for May? Do you think we could get it for April 20?
April,
So
that's
draft?
actually April.
It's April meeting.
Okay, April, yeah.
Next meeting is March.
Okay, yeah, April would be great.
We'll
So-
try and get a draft sooner.
Please don't let it be that
Okay.
late already.
So
So we're clear, we're seeing draft to then say, the
Yep.
committee together in this.
which is great, I mean, because I think it's much needed, and I completely agree, but I think it's important for everybody to understand why we're doing the branding.
We
and
will
so
raise
that-
the deadline.
And the RFP that these guys have provided are so good and show why they wanted the new brand, and I think it would be great. So the amended motion would be to provide a draft RFP for the rebranding effort by 10 days before the April TCAP meeting.
I second that.
Any discussion? Oh, go ahead, Howard, discussion?
Just want to mention that there's been a lot of work done on branding in our community, including Discover Moab, where Adventure Begins. So I don't want to discount all the work that's been done by previous boards and previous offices, because there's value to those things where Adventure Begins is kind of a great, line. So rather than investing a large amount of money for another brand, let's kind of look at what we've already got there and see if we can use that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Where adventure continues.
I like
From
that
Adventure
too.
Never Ends.
I like all of these. Can we move forward to a vote? All those in favor of having a draft RFP 10 days prior to the April TCAB meeting, say aye. It's
Right.
unanimous.
Yay. Looking forward to that.
Moving on to, oh my goodness, look at this. Number F, renaming tourism office as suggested by the prior economic development office. It was suggested that we change our name to the Moab Office of
Change
Tourism
his-
to make it
his
easy.
name.
By Ben Frederigill, who suggested that. Thank you very much. That was the previous discussion. Go ahead, Howard.
I'll make a motion to rename it the Moab Area Office of Tourism, so we're not, we are county board, and there are other parts of Grand County beyond Moab, so it's kind of like the Moab Area Travel Council, Moab Area Office of Tourism.
Just,
Is there a second to that or other
that
motion?
was a motion, was it? It was.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion
He
to
put a motion
rename
in.
our office,
Yeah.
Moab Area Office of Tourism.
No, it's not, it doesn't roll off the tongue.
And I'll discuss, can I discuss?
Well, we don't have a second of the
Okay.
motion
So there's
or
no
a
reason to.
substitute motion. If it does not have a second, let's have some discussion and then we can move for a motion. There's obviously some of that discussion. Do you have more discussion?
Just really quickly, I think the suggestion, I know some of the acronyms that have been in some of the Google Docs is MOOT, but I would suggest it be like the Utah Office of Tourism, which is UOT. I think MOT is better than MOOT and better than MOTE. So I think the MOT is more of an acronym than the other two. So my suggestion, I'm not making a motion, would be to stick with the recommendation from Ben Federgill for the Moab Office of Tourism.
I think the simpler the better. Fewer words.
I would entertain a motion. Sharon?
I make a motion that we will rename the Moab Area Travel Council office to be the Moab Office of Tourism.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll go with Wendell. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. Everybody who votes for Moab Office of Tourism, keeping it simple, say aye.
Aye.
Ashley's confused.
Ashley, are you, that's an aye. I can't hear you. Okay, unanimous. I see your hand.
It's fine. I was a little confused by the motion, but
Okay, moving on to item G, ITB attendance. In a previous meeting, we had talked about the very magnanimous offer to, and choice to have a couple of the Travel Council Advisory Board members as potential attendees at the ITB attendance. At this short juncture, I don't know that any of the invited members are able to make that happen. Given that, is there any discussion before we try to move forward with the motion? Oh, go ahead.
Anyone from your staff is still able to go.
We're discussing that, but this is one of those where if there's an availability and it works, we'll do it. And if not, bring it back, plan better next year with a different scope.
And there were several,
We possibly have some options, but short notice and
Right.
passport logistics and.
so appreciate the opportunity to be involved, and several of the people that were invited have expressed that they next year would be happy to entertain this with a little bit more logistics.
Yes, this
sorting things out.
was decided late because of some things that had changed with the new commission and a new comm admin and running, but we could actually plan, because there's more things going on this year that we're gonna bring to the TCAB as wanting to go, things like TTRA, which is then the nerdy economics of tourism, IPW, which I know some of you attend on your own as your vendors, and maybe we find dollars to have someone from our TCAB attend that as well.
Awesome, hey, and thank you. That was very
Helps us, 'cause it's,
inspiring to be included in that conversation. Did you have another comment now?
it helps to, because it shows the world we're competing in to our board. What you're competing in.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Brian.
and actually on that point right there, and I don't know, Ben, if you do have someone that goes along with you on that, or if not yourself personally, but the report at the end, I think would be very helpful for both this board and the commission, especially at this show right here, to make sure that everybody can understand the actual breadth of the world travel, you know, and maybe just the state of world travel and where everything's at. I think that report would be really nice and help Moab kind of understand that it's, once again, not a special little butterfly.
And
That there's
pictures.
Pictures, yeah, just so that we, you know, it explains exactly how big that show is and how many people are all vying for these same dollars.
And we would love to direct staff, whomever they are, that if we could, as a board, have the contact information. I think it was Ally that provided us with, we talked about on Monday or Tuesday, a list of contacts of people who had reached out about interest in our particular product, and within 24 hours, we had reached every person by email. One said, please take us off your list. But other than that, we had utilized that list and really appreciate the opportunity to try to use those contacts to send a welcoming message to those people.
Which is helpful, because for instance, I know when we came back from Go West, we added that list, and that's a list that's either been here, is coming here, or is not coming here as much, and then a media list that's helpful that you are reaching out to vendors, so.
If we can have that as a group, certain outfitters use it, or not outfitters, but certain merchants, whatever, find some things more useful than others. But, you know, there are even people in there that wanted food information about, interesting, I found that good. And so I would entertain a motion to move forward about the ITB attendance and Ben's office.
Okay.
If anybody has that motion.
I'll make a motion that with the ITB attendance that Ben is slated to go to, that he comes back with a report to TCAB, and with directing his staff to come up with a list of contacts, and next year give us a little more heads up, and maybe we can go.
And then when do you want that report? Can you put that part of
And
your motion?
authorize the cost of the
Additional.
the cost of an additional attendant.
Or the staff, yeah, they do both together.
Okay, yeah, and if it is possible for them to take a staff member, then we would accept that cost.
I'm not expecting you to remember all the wonderfulness of that report, because I'm going to try to repeat it back.
Okay.
But knowing that Ben has the discretion to choose a staff member if he likes, can we get an idea when we can expect that report in our motion maybe? Because they've asked for timelines that are helpful.
We could do the first meeting after we get back.
Okay. Can we put that
Yeah,
in the
that would be
motion?
April meeting. Yeah.
So it actually, it's the first week of March, actually, what is the date of the March meeting? What?
I think it's the 9th.
Yeah, I think, yeah, but you need a little bit of time just to get your.
Yeah,
Give you a little time to prepare. Well, yeah, but I mean, it's one that I would, I'll be there, I'll be
I
there.
had it for the 11th. but
Yeah,
usually
yeah, the
usually
11th.
the first two
Let
days.
me give a preliminary summary report.
It's the second Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's the
That's
second
the second,
Tuesday,
that's
so
right,
it's the
yes,
11th,
the
the 11th of March, so that
Yeah.
gives
Okay,
you,
one day, but
Yeah. So
Let's do it.
I'll amend my motion, if Ben has the wherewithal to bring us a report by the next meeting, great, quick summary, maybe a more in-depth report by the following April meeting.
second.
Further discussion, call for a vote. All those in favor of Ben going to ITB and
Maybe a staff.
maybe a staff member, vote aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Ashley, are you aye? I can't
Yes,
hear you.
that's a yes.
Okay, that's a yes, all right, unanimous.
No, I think she said nay.
Yes, sorry, I'm in a really loud place. No, yes, I'm for it.
Awesome, thank you.
Can I
super
just-
good. Go ahead.
It would be great if you could maybe give us a list, of what's upcoming, so we, if there's opportunities, we can start looking at our own personal schedules for the rest of the year, if there's other
Awesome.
opportunities to go to conferences.
So moving to item H, content creator contract. I would like to move this along unless, because we talked about this before, how about maybe entertaining a motion to see an RFP a week prior to the March meeting?
What is this actually
Not,
for?
how about not an RFP, but a quote?
I don't even
Yeah,
remember
'cause
the
it-
budget.
is this-
It was a presentation quote. You
It was
can, not an
a
RFP.
presentation.
Do you know what the cost of that was?
We don't have one. The motion was to move forward so we could go get one.
Okay.
This is from the local, from Scott.
Oh, the local, okay.
This isn't anything we want to do
Oh,
yet.
that's right,
We
that's
just
right,
wanted
that's
to,
right. So
there's
we
a
wanna
great
go get a
idea
quote
on the
from that
table.
Scott
We
guy.
want to move to the next steps. It was what's, people of Moab.
Okay,
I make a motion that we allow our Ben and his office to get a quote from a possible local content creator for a contract.
Second.
awesome.
Discussion really quick. Are we getting multiple quotes?
On that particular one, that's the one that came and pitched us that idea. That was Scott.
Rogers.
Scotty Rogers with Fisher. So we'll get others. We do those during the year.
Yeah, okay.
We have lots of different, this is just one specific, someone brought us a really good idea.
Just a
If
question.
it's under a certain amount, you don't need an RFP, correct?
Yeah.
Right. We just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
because we were asked by TCAM, so we're doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Over $10,000 that
Right.
we need.
We will always follow the purchasing.
So we've got a motion on the table by Sharon, seconded from
Me.
Alex, thanks. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Unanimous? Next item is I, infrastructure updates to 25 East Center Street building, the Moab Information Center. When we had our meeting on Tuesday, we were requesting to get information where in the budget that line item ended up based on the December recommendation for that item. But we need to make a motion to vote for that request to be able to direct staff to do that. I would hope that somebody could make a motion to request
Well-
Ben Frederick and staff to get
I'm
that.
going to have to recuse myself from any vote on this.
Okay.
But just for
Context.
history or whatever, this was a line item that we suggested in our suggested budget to the county commission. We found out Tuesday that it was not included. It's $200,000 for upgrades to the Nick bathrooms, which is highly needed. And so, that's where that stands. We found out it wasn't put through the commission, did not put it actually in the budget. So this is money that can come from the TRCCA. The Moab Information Center is a legitimate and legal place to spend TRCCA money. And it is something that is highly needed.
I think when we had our representative from Grand County Finance, that I think it was put that this would be a worthwhile endeavor, but it needs to be taken forward as a commission agenda item, maybe as a different structure, just so it doesn't confuse anything with audits, departments, budget move-overs. And so it just wasn't in the TRT budget of our department. So the first answer was that it wasn't in that budget, but also go pursue it a different way would be what I
Okay,
would suggest.
other discussion then?
Just a question about funding. Do we have any carryover funds that we could appropriate to this from previous years, either the TRCCA fund sources?
We
And
could make a motion to investigate all of those things to pursue this if you wanted.
if it's $200,000, do we need an RFP? We're gonna do an RFP.
Oh, no, it will be put out for bid by the county.
Got it.
As far as I know. At first, when we discussed it, They were saying CNHA would take the lead and get all this stuff because it would be quicker, but conversations before we found out that it was not included are that the county would rather do this because it is a county building.
That's how the question.
So it would have to go out to bid with RFP and through the county maintenance, I'm assuming, office.
Sharon's going to recuse herself. Go ahead, Alex.
Make a motion to approve the, putting out an RFP for improvements to the bathrooms at the Moab Information Center.
I think
No,
what
I
we
think you
to
need
do
to,
is-
it needs to be something with, going to the commission about amending the budget
Requesting an agenda item.
with the commission to
Sure, I'll take a stab.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we put forth a request to the commission for, to look into updating the Moab Information Center's bathroom.
And you could say with TRCCA money, because then it's legal.
Well, it could be either with TRCCA, maybe with a general fund.
Right.
do I have a second on that?
And, well, we have
Okay.
to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Probably within the next commission meeting or two.
Well, I'm the liaison, Alex, so I'll be able to just take this right up and I'll bring it up as a future consideration.
All right,
At our next meeting.
okay, great.
Yeah, you got it.
Second.
So,
Thanks, Alex.
yeah, so I'll just take this right on up and all your recommendations and this right here and see what we can figure out.
Super, thanks.
1 second, sorry guys, I'm keeping up a second.
What do we do?
Well, just to know, if you say you're going to recuse, like you can abstain from voting, but if you say you're going to recuse,
Yeah.
then best practice is to
Not
not participate in
Okay.
the discussion. Just because I'm here, I'm like, well, Yeah.
Now he's got to
So-
weigh in.
So I just abstain from voting.
well, if it's a recusal, if you have a hard conflict or a restricted conflict, then you should note that and then you don't participate.
Oh.
Because then otherwise, that's what recusal's for, to stay away from something that there's the perception that, so then it's just that. It's like a perfect time to grab a drink of water or something like that, but I can't, we can't eject people from meetings. But I couldn't sit here without saying
Okay.
something, so. Very good,
If
sorry.
you weren't here, I probably wouldn't have known
Yeah.
that, but I now know, so there we go. Can we call for a vote on the motion by Alex? All those in favor? I count 1, 2, 3, 4, and Ashley 5 with Sharon abstaining. 5 affirmative.
So Stephen, next time I would just say I'm gonna abstain from voting.
Yeah, if you're recusing it is different from abstaining.
Okay.
So
Oh,
technically
recused.
she
Technically,
recused
she
herself.
recused herself, and, okay, thank you
So
very
you
much.
just noted at the beginning, so if there was something like, if I had, if we were doing something with bakery, and they were like, we want to put a billboard on the bakery, then Howard would say, I own the bakery, I have it, I have a conflict in this, I'm recusing myself from this.
Okay.
But then he doesn't get to jump back in and be like, it should be red. Because then it's like, wait a second, you're recused from this. And abstaining is different. Abstaining is like, I don't want to vote against this, I don't want to vote for this, I want to be, abstaining.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's, you just note it for the beginning. In the commission meetings, we have a time where people can conflict off, and here we don't have that. I don't know that that's in your guys' agenda, but just noting that for the future.
Okay, thank you.
I want to congratulate you all for taking a 2-hour agenda and making it an hour and 45. This committee is so essential to helping that welcoming message go forward and assisting in the new Moab Office of Tourism meet their deadlines and goals. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here and doing double duty this week.
I just want to echo your sentiments that there's almost 4,000 people that live in our community depend on the work this office does for their livelihoods, if you will.
So thank you all for being here, and I am
I have
going
a
to-
quick addition too. Sorry. Can you hear me?
I can, go ahead, Ashley, quick.
Okay, this is quick. This is with regard to, management best practices are evolving around the country, as are marketing techniques. And Moab has the opportunity to lead in both categories. Using our limited marketing dollars on generic recreate responsibly messaging is the most inefficient way to actually protect recreation assets. So what successful communities are doing is they're directing visitors towards recreation assets that are ready for visitors at volume. So I just want to put that out there for a future workshop. I think it would be really important for us to all see what's happening out there and how it could affect the effectiveness of the dollars we're spending. Just want to throw that out for a future workshop.
I'm going to be really honest. We got about 98% of that, but we might need a couple ideas to come up with that workshop idea in the future. Ashley, thank you so much.
Sure. I'll send an email.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and dismiss and thank you all for your time, effort, energy, and being here.
You already know what you guys want with the RFP for the branding effort?
Yeah.
We're starting work on
Are you gonna go?
60 days.
I'll come
You got
with
it
you to
draft?
that event if you want.
Draft
I-
will be,
Yeah, stand by.
remind me what item it is, right?
We haven't done anything.
Had to go to that one.
Oh, that's